Oh, we got to do the clap. You want to do it? What? Hold on, ready?
Was I supposed to count? All right, ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Welcome to Hoppy Talk. My name is Matthew Coles. I'm a veteran drinker. I've been drinking beer for about 2 decades, and I have a curious palate. And here we have Rick Russell. He is a brewmaster. So any questions, anything, he knows how to make beer. He's been making beer for how long?
8 years.
8 years.
been
Wow.
8 years.
8 years.
I just thought about that. That's a long time.
Yeah, he knows his stuff. So this is why we're doing the podcast. This guy knows his stuff. He's also a great guy. I love drinking with him. I love talking to him. And we decided to have this podcast to just, because we drink anyway. His beers are great. And then we have good conversations. So here we are. You want to introduce the beer?
Yeah, so today we're going to have the 7K IPA. So awesome, just clean label from Santa Fe Brewing Company. I think all of their labels are like that. They're just different colors, but I like this one a lot. This one stands out. I love this color, this nice blue. It's beautiful. So alcohol by volume, 7% India Pale Ale. And when we read into the label, it says, look up higher, no higher, hi there. We're up here in Santa Fe. That was a little bit of a tongue twister.
They're so funny.
7,198 feet above sea level. We're the ones who made this dry West Coast style IPA with grapefruit, citrus, and tropical characteristics. It's inspired the area around us, our love of hops, and our erratic decision making at high altitudes.
They're so funny because last time, so I've never had 7K IPA. Last time we did the Happy Camper, which is one of my favorite IPAs. Mm-hmm. I love IPAs. And do you remember what that one said? It was like the kind of beer that says, hey, don't touch my motorcycle.
Yeah, something like that.
It was so, I was cracking. I was like, what the heck? But these guys look up, higher, no higher.
And that's a cool thing in the industry because it could get like so bad, but at the end, dude, it's beer. Like it's beer. You know what I mean? Like you gotta have fun with it. Like it can't be. So yeah, ready to crack. Established in 1988, and then we just looked up. They're the oldest brewery in New Mexico.
Yeah.
The oldest brewery in the state. Yeah. Think about that. 1988. I think New Mexico was admitted into the union in like 1912 or something like that. So
when was Stone IPA? It was 1990s.
Yeah, so this is an older, the craft beer scene, the way we know it now, obviously it's evolved a lot, but its origins start in the 80s, the American craft beer scene, which is uniquely American because a lot of like the beers that we've had, if you've been listening to our podcast, they're German, they're Belgian, they're Irish, right? These beers are they're more traditional, they stick to their guns and they've been doing the things that they've been doing for centuries. American beer, it's so somos una capirotada. I don't know how you say that in English, but
well, it's young.
Yeah, it's young, and we just do crazy stuff because I mean, what is it to be an American, right? There's so many identities in what it is to be an American.
We're the melting pot.
Exactly. Somebody told me to be an American is not, it's not an ethnicity. It's an idea. To be an American is an idea. And it's like so there's all these ideas going into all these beers, and I think that's gone into our craft beer scene where you have crazy beers. I've had some crazy beer, made with bacon. I've done some crazy beers too.
Oh my! So I just got the opportunity to have his avocado and green chili.
Yeah, avocado green chili. Yeah, from Hatch, New Mexico.
Yes, and Hatch, New Mexico. They're known for their green chilies, but I didn't know what to expect, and it was delicious. It was delicious. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and we like it because also like in this part of the country, I think a lot of the time when people think of the melting pot or the beginnings of it, it's like New York and the northeastern part of the U.S., which, there is a lot of people went in there, right? And their names are written there. But this part of the country where we're at in El Paso, there's a lot of mixtures here too, with the Hispanic, with the German, with the Mexican, with the Spanish, with the native. There's a lot of it. And then you have Fort Bliss, which has influenced it for well over a century too.
Yeah. So I grew up in Northeast El Paso, Texas, and Northeast had Fort Bliss. So I grew up with kids that weren't primarily Hispanic. Fort Bliss has expanded like to reach parts of the east side, but you could see how we're becoming more cultured.
Yeah, and it's becoming a bigger town, and I think it did have some of that. In the beginning in El Paso, especially like with the railroad coming in, there was like Asian influence, right? Especially in downtown El Paso, you still kind of see that. But I mean, as it's grown, it's primarily Hispanic, and then with immigration. But Fort Bliss has had the influence to make it less homogeneous place, right? You have a more heterogeneous society.
It's a good way to put it.
So yeah.
Well, should we crack this open?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so 7K IPA from Santa Fe Brewing Company. Yeah, here's the beautiful sound. And then we got this. I love it. So I put a lot of head on here, and when I was growing up, bless you.
No, I was coughing.
When I was growing up, if you had a lot of head on your beer, they'd say you didn't pour it right. And then my brother even Joseph came in from Belgium. He said he poured his beer, had a lot of head, and the Belgian guys around him were like, oh, you didn't pour that right. I do know how to pour a proper beer. You turn the glass and you pour it. But I like head. I like the beer to have. I mean, it's not all head. I mean, if you look at this, it's mostly beer, but only a little bit over the halfway point. And then there's all this head, and I like that in a beer. I like it. I like the way it feels in your mouth. I like the flavors that come out in the head in particular. And these bubbles are great.
Yeah, I'm seeing mine small over here. So also, it's kind of hard because these glasses are smaller than this.
Yeah.
Right? So, pero if you have a 12 ounce, it should be able to fit in a 16 ounce glass.
Yeah, so we're drinking out of smaller glasses. I personally, these are my glasses. I like the way they look. I like the way the beers look in these glasses. The shape of them, they're a little bit smaller, but you're able to get more beers, if you will. Even though we're drinking one can, but we're gonna pour it 3 times, 2 or 3 times, and that's part of what I like it and why I like it.
So first on the color, I see a yellow. It's like a yellow at the core, a dark yellow.
Very yellow, very hazy.
Very hazy. I don't want to say as hazy as some of the beers that I've had, but it is pretty hazy. The head on it is beautiful. Again, the small bubbles on top, big bubbles on the bottom. I mean, it's a nice beer. It's a nice looking beer.
I can see my fingers through it, but mostly just the shadows.
Like there, I think I almost got 1.75
Wow, that's like an inch almost.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, you got about an inch of head off the top of that glass.
Yeah, so it's beautiful. I think it's a beautiful beer.
Yes.
For sure. Ready to drink it?
Cheers.
Cheers. Salud.
Salud. Yum.
I like this one a lot.
This is a good beer.
Yeah.
It's really good. The flavor. Oh, so you're a huge aroma fan.
I do, yeah.
So, all right. So my favorite Santa Fe beer is the Happy Camper beer. Rick's is the 7K IPA. They're both IPAs. I think this one has more aroma than taste. Just right off the bat, I smelled it first. It's full of flavor, and then I tasted it, and it's really good. But Happy Camper, I think, is the opposite.
Has a lot of flavor.
It has a lot of flavor. It has some smell too, which is really good. But it's like flipped of this one, and it's interesting. I think that is a good distinguisher of my palate versus your palate.
For sure. Yeah, no, I do enjoy aromas in beer. What do they say first? I like the way a beer looks, right? I've heard you taste with your eyes. That's the first thing you taste with. And then the smell is next. And then lastly is once it's already in your mouth. But yeah, it's a wonderful beer. I do like it. There's a lot of tropical smells in it. That's what I smell. A lot of fruit. I don't think they're adding any fruit into it. That's beautiful.
I just put about half an inch of head on the top of this beer. It looks good. Yeah, so you've talked about how, as a brewmaster, you've talked about how
He keeps on calling me brewmaster.
he doesn't like it because he's humble. Anyway, so Rick makes beer. He's good at it. He's good. Honestly, you're gonna win a competition eventually. Like,
I don't know.
he's brewing here in El Paso, which is on the map for certain things. It's not on the map for beer yet, which is I think why it's overlooked. But here's a good example of why he's a good brewer. There was a list of best breweries, best new breweries, I think, in the country, or something like that, or best breweries in the country. And his brewery had the same name as another brewery in California, but his brewery was on top of that brewery. So that brewery tried to sue him. Do you remember that?
It was a cidery. It's because we had the same name.
They had the same name.
Yeah.
But that goes to show, if you don't have something good enough to even make the list, they're not gonna care. They're not gonna know. But he had something so good that a popular cidery in California got upset because his brewery was above theirs on this list.
I think it was a miss, just to give them the benefit of the doubt. I think what happened was that they're like, they're also doing an alcoholic beverage, but also suing across state lines. I think that's kind of hard and stuff. We just ended up changing our name.
Yeah,
That's what we did.
It was instead of going through the hassle, they just changed the name.
Yeah.
My point is he's a good brewer, and I say he's a master brewer because he is a master brewer. Knows his trade. He knows his trade. He also trains people. He also manages people. He manages the people under him. He's definitely a master brewer. But I was gonna say something about this beer. I got off of it.
I don't know. The smell? Taste,
smell,
aroma,
taste.
look.
It's good. Hey, cheers.
Salud. Salud. So for it being 7%, I don't know. I guess I do barely taste it. That it does have a lot of alcohol.
I can taste the bitterness. So this one is a 70 plus
IBU,
which is International Bitterness Unit.
bitterness unit. Yeah.
I can taste the bitterness. I like it. I like IPAs. I'm a fan of I kind of want to. I want to do an episode where we just go like the bitterest, like beers that people don't want to drink. I want to do that. I want to do that.
Okay. All right.
I'm all.
We'll do a competition. I guess.
I like drinking black coffee. I don't know. I'm that kind of person.
Well, last time you were saying I like dark chocolate.
Yeah. I like chocolate to be 70% plus cacao or whatever, dark chocolate. It's first of all, it's good for you. That might be a part of it. Like I like that idea, but I'm also used to it, maybe from doing it. I don't know. But this is all in that same vein, if you ask me. This one's really good. It has a lot of citrus. So this one you could smell like the tropicalness of it.
Yeah, and so from rereading, it has Mosaic, Simcoe, Eldorado, and Amarillo hops. So I know the Mosaic has like a hint of blueberry. I do not taste any blueberry in this, by the way. But the Amarillo, the Simcoe, those are all hops that have a lot of stone fruit, pineapple, guava, mango flavors and aromas. And usually if you have a hazy beer, you're adding those hops either when it's not boiling or you're adding them in the fermenter, right? So you can have the beer boiling, you add some hops for bitterness, you turn off the boil, right? You let it hit a certain temperature, it could be between 185 to 195 degrees Fahrenheit, and you're adding those hops and you're getting the aromas of it, right? So instead of getting the bitterness, right, the what we know, the West Coast, the hop bite, you're getting more of the aromas of those hops, right? So I think that's what they did here. I don't know. It would be awesome to go and see their process one day, right? Go to these breweries.
I think that's the next step.
Yeah, to go and call these breweries. Hey, we have a podcast. Would it be cool to go and check out how you guys do your beers and spend a day with you guys?
All right. How many followers do we need before you feel comfortable doing that?
Okay, 1,000. We're gonna make a beer.
Yes.
Right? We're gonna make a beer. Let's do 5,000.
5,000?
Yeah, 5,000 followers.
So please, please, if you're watching this, subscribe.
Yeah.
We do this for fun, and we're going to be doing it for a long time.
I know.
It's just what it is. We enjoy it, and it's fun. But my goal is to get us to 1,000 because I want to make a beer on the podcast, and I want Rick to be like leading it. I could do it. I could be like, oh, I'm gonna make a beer. I've never made a beer before. I've thought about it. I've given beer kits to people. My brother-in-law loves beer, Brian.
Really?
I gave him,
Yeah.
For Christmas, I gave him a beer kit. He made the beer. He said thank you, and it was great. But and then Gustavo, of course, I didn't give him one, but he would do beer kits.
Yeah, so my uncle Gus is the reason how I ended up getting into brewing, right?
Yeah.
So
And he started in his garage.
Yep. Yeah, it's so cool. Hats off to homebrewers. I've done it a couple of times. I don't know how you guys do it for fun. Like I do.
We talked about that.
I do it for work, It's like it's a lot of work. It's a lot of patience.
Yeah.
And then the beer kits. I mean, I would understand if you had 1,000 gallons worth of beer, and you don't have to drink the rest of the year. But the beer kits, you get 2 gallons out of it. It's like, man.
Yeah.
But it's for the love of it. It's for connection. Like I think that's what it's cool to make beer with somebody and drink beer with people. It's the conduit to people.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. But yeah.
And that's why we have guests on here also. We'll have guests sometimes, like people we know, people that like beer. I'm trying to get my coworker Daniel on here.
Tell him, dude.
Come on here, Daniel.
I know.
So he likes Mexican beers, and he knows about them, and he has favorites. He told me he could distinguish, which is I kind of want to do this with him, like a blind taste test. He said Estrella and what was the other one? There was another one. And he said those are the only 2 he couldn't distinguish if he did a blind taste test. But all the other Tecate, and
he could distinguish them?
He'd be able to drink them and distinguish them, which I want to see it. I want to come on here, do it, prove it. Let's see it.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So, what were we talking about? Yeah. So I think after we have 5,000 followers, we can go to a brewery and do that. And then it would be cool to eventually just start doing that. If we could go to breweries and have our podcast there, talk to the brewers and do, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I would love to do that. And then try the beers on tap. So for me, you have canned beers, right? And I think these are probably the lowest form of beer aside from maybe like old beer, warm beer, different things that could go wrong with beer. But if it's in a can, it could be good. Like this is a good beer still. But if it was in a glass, it goes up a notch. It tastes better. It does. It just tastes better. You're drinking it from a bottle or pouring it from a bottle. And then the next one is draft. If you have it on tap, it's basically, it was brewed, put into this container, this giant container where it's still basically its original form. It's still its original, like Rick even told me last time that it has the sediment at the bottom. And so the spears from the tap don't touch the bottom, but that's how close to home it is. Like it's still its original, and you get it on tap. And for me, that's the best beer on tap. You cannot beat a good beer on tap.
And the sediment that I have, it's because I do have like a brewery. There's some things that we did, but it's very hard to carbonate them and get them all aged out, so they age in the fermenter, in the keg. But if you go and get domestic beer and stuff, it's rare. I have seen some where I remember I worked as a bartender in Dallas, and sometimes we would hook up a Bud Light, it would pop, and there was sediment. But that must have been one of the last kegs they kegged or something. You know what I mean? Like it's not common in those.
But wouldn't that be due to the size of their facility?
Yeah, so that means most of it doesn't have all that sediment, but there's going to be a couple that do.
Because they have these huge, what are those called?
Fermenters.
So they have these huge fermenters.
Bright tanks.
How huge?
They're doing it out of their
How many gallons are these fermenters?
Oh, I don't know. When I was in St. Louis, I couldn't tell you. When I was in
1,000 gallons?
They look like blimps, dude. They looked like blimps. When I was there, I was like, what the heck are these things? And they're okay. You have the fermenter that's like this. There's a conical at the bottom, so everything's meant to settle at the bottom. But then there's lagering tanks. The lagering tanks are put like this because there's less not area, but length for stuff to settle.
Okay.
So that's the second tank. You put it, and then you keg out of there, or that's the traditional way of doing it. The ones that were like that, right? The bright tanks, they look like blimps, like they're just hanging.
Were they as long as this
No, dude.
room? Bigger?
Bigger.
Wow.
Bigger.
And how wide? Bigger than this room? So
Yeah.
we're 10 feet this way, and then this way about 25.
Oh, these things are bigger.
Bigger.
I'm trying to think of how big.
This is an engineering question. These are the kind of questions they ask in Google interviews.
Yeah.
They're like, how many gallons would fit in this room? How big are your...
Mine, I produce 93 gallons if I'm doing a regular beer. If I start adding stuff, fruit and all that, I can produce like 124 gallons max. I usually produce 93. But like those other breweries, like I think there's a brewery here that's 3 times bigger than mine. There's one that's 10 times bigger.
Dead Beach.
Yeah, Dead Beach. Theirs.
Which
is
one's
10
3
bigger.
times?
Aurelia's Brewing Company.
Aurelia's is smaller than Dead Beach?
Yeah. Yeah, those guys, yeah, they're working off of, I think, 7 barrels.
I want to go back to Dead Beach. I went to Dead Beach when it first opened. I liked some of their beers.
I think you got to give a place a lot of chances, like especially here in El Paso where our culture is so small. They're a bigger facility now. They're in a new facility. Have you been to the new one?
I haven't.
Yeah, you got to go to.
I went to the one that was downtown.
No, this is
was when
this
they
is
first
still
opened.
downtown.
Yeah.
This is a new facility. They have big tanks. I mean, those things are massive. I mean, you got to climb stairs to look at them. You know, it's 2 stories.
That's where you need to get to.
Yeah, that's pretty big. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, just check them out and stuff. All right, so are you ready to rate this?
No.
On 3?
Okay, let's do it. Hold on. I got
It's because he was telling me, and I guess the past so many podcasts, I always ask him, hey, what do you think? And he's like,
I gotta get into the mindset. Look, hold on. Let me see. So, like, I know why you like this beer. It's very crispy. So, Rick has got me into crispy beers. I didn't. It's like there's this thing where when you're introduced to something, you may not like it, but then once you hear the background behind it, you start noticing those things and you break those boundaries, you know? And like crispiness was never on my radar. And then you told me like you really like crispy boys, particularly, but you like crispy beers. Crispy boys is another name for like any beer that has a nice, it's very carbonated.
Content. Yeah, nice and carbonated.
High carbonation.
Yeah.
So it kind of burns a little bit, which I never thought too much about it, but I do. He got me into that idea.
I never thought about it, but until you start making beer, one of the hardest things, especially for home brewers, that I've seen is having carbonated beer. It is so, carbonation is the most difficult thing of beer. I think that's what attracts so many people to beer. You know, you have wine, it's not carbonated. Most liquors, well, no liquor's carbonated. I think there's too much alcohol for them to be carbonated.
That would be so
right.
weird.
So like beer, that's what makes it so different is the carbonate. Sometimes I'm like, I want a beer. No, I don't want a beer. I want a Topo Chico. You know, I want carbonation. So it's like, yeah. So that's something that I really look at as a brewer. I like my beers to be nicely carbonated. So yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. So this one has a really good smell. Okay, so IPAs. All right, look. So if I'm thinking of IPAs, I really like the St. Arnold's Art Car. I've talked about that. I really like Santa Fe's other beer. Their Happy Camper. I'm gonna say.
Let's do it. No, on 3.
On 3.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
9.
We're gonna start doing that from now on. 9.
That was good.
9, dude.
That was good.
9. Yeah, but I really like this beer. I really like this one. I like it a little bit more on draft. I remember it more on draft. But yeah, and a fun fact with that draft stuff and canned beer, you know, in the 80s, it was looked down upon if you're having draft beer. It's like draft beer is not good. That's weird, huh?
You know why they did that? It was an advertisement to sell more cans and stuff.
Probably, yeah.
That's what I think. Because there's no way. There's no way.
The beer companies, American beer companies, are at the forefront of marketing and all that stuff. Like they're very, very good, along with tobacco companies.
Yeah,
they were the best. They're the ones who almost like made what we think of marketing and branding and all that stuff. So these guys are kings of it. But it could be that. But I think just things vary. And then people say, no, well, now I want canned beer. I want, you know, it's like during COVID, people are probably like, man, I want a draft. But all the bars are closed. So then you go out, oh, finally I get a draft beer. So I think a lot of it is like marketing and stuff like that too.
Yeah, so for sure, when you know the background behind something, it means more. But the problem with marketing is they lie.
Yeah.
They'll tell you what the background is, and it's not even true. It's just what they want you to think. So like facts about this beer, it's called 7K because it's brewed 7,000 feet above sea level. That's a fact. That's cool. It's like, it's a cool fact. It's 7% alcohol. What was the third one?
70 IBU.
70 IBU. So all these sevens, which is cool because seven's a holy number. But that's not BS. You know, that's not bullcrap. That's like facts. That's not an advertising lie. It's also very good.
I know New Mexico has so many Christian Catholic roots in it, as much of America does, that a lot of people don't know about. But like out there, Las Cruces, you know why Las Cruces is named that?
3 crosses. Jesus Christ. Zia.
Zia. I didn't know that.
This is known as the Zia. Yeah. No, it's not Christianity.
Oh, no, never mind. Okay, never mind, New Mexico. Sorry. No, it was this blend, this mesh of native cultures and like even the reservation that's over here, the tribe that's here, the Tigua, they're originally from New Mexico, but during the Pueblo Rebellion, they came down over here with the Spanish. Oh. There's 2 stories to that. The southern tribe, this one here, the Tiguas, they say, you know what, we were enslaved, the Spanish brought us here, and the northern tribe says, no, you guys were traders. You guys went with the Spanish. So it's lost to history. Who knows? But again, they founded the missions, right? So there's the missions and all that stuff. They're the ones that built it, the Piros. My brewery is on the mission trail, so I love history. My whole theme is like, local history and beer and an old adobe building. But but New Mexico, Las Cruces, I didn't know it was about the 3 crosses. I thought that's when they were going through the mission trail. A lot of people died there. So there was a lot of grave sites. Yeah.
Las Cruces is known as the 3 crosses. I thought that's what it was. Ricky's saying different. But she looks
maybe later they did say, hey, you know what, the 3 crosses for the Trinity or whatever. But along the mission trail, it was a place where a lot of people just, they passed away, you know?
So it is known as a city of crosses, with the three crosses being a part of the history.
Which 3 crosses?
There were 3 crosses that were on graves by the
Okay, so it's it makes sense. So it's like they're
unmarked graves.
Unmarked graves.
That's what you knew?
No, so I guess it could be part of that, but what I understood was that when they were coming in from Mexico City going to Santa Fe, right? El Camino Real de Tierra Adentro, like that's what it was called. Through the Mission Trail, that was a place where a lot of people expired. It's a place where a lot of people died. And so there was so many grave sites there that they just called it Las Cruces.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to say, if you haven't tried 7K IPA, try it. So this beer in particular was made as a approachable beer. So a lot of people don't like IPAs. They're bitter. This one is bitter. It's 70 plus IBUs. It is a bitter beer, but it is a good introduction because it has all the flavors. It has everything that you would want in an IPA, and including the IBUs. And because it's an IPA, it's good with spicy food. Now, that's something we talked about last time when we had IPAs. And spicy food, if you like spicy food, drink an IPA with it. It's good.
We might do in the future a couple of food pairings where we're actually drinking some beers with some food and see how that kind of goes and stuff. So.
Yeah, not flaming hot Cheetos.
Okay, not in the future. We already did that, but we're going to do it more refined. We're going to be a little bit more refined. Ready to close that out?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Thank you guys for joining us. Try 7K IPA. It's a good introduction to a bitter beer. Remember that. It is bitter, but it's a good introduction. It has a lot of floral notes and citrus notes and stuff, which is what you're looking for.
Yes, very good beer and for very good talks.
Definitely.
Estamos.
Yeah, and stay hoppy.
Cheers, y'all. See you later.